Perhaps you have seen a fungus-like protist and didn't recognize it. Most fungus-like protists don't grow large enough to scare people. In fact, some you can barely see. As decomposers, fungus-like protists play an important role in ecosystems by recycling nutrients such as carbon and nitrogen back into the soil. For a long time, fungus-like protists were classified as fungi because they are all decomposers and have similar reproductive structures and cycles. However, fungus-like protists can move during part of their life cycle, while fungi cannot. Slime molds are eukaryotic organisms that have both fungus-like and animal-like traits. They can be divided into two phyla: plasmodial slime molds and cellular slime molds. For most of their life, plasmodial slime molds live as a single mass of cytoplasm that actually is a large single cell with many nuclei, called a plasmodium. They can grow as large as a meter or more in diameter. A plasmodium, which is pictured on the screen here, moves like a giant amoeba, creeping over the ground as it absorbs bacteria and nutrients from decaying matter. Fuligoseptica, which is known as the dog vomit slime mold, is typical for this group. Plasmodial slime molds are common on the underside of logs and on dead leaves. When food or moisture is in short supply, the plasmodial slime mold stops growing and develops non-moving reproductive structures that produce spores. Such a structure is a resistant, resting from the slime mold. When the spores are released, they are often able to move on their own. They may creep like an amoeba, or if water is present, they can develop up to 4 flagella per cell. Eventually, the spores swarm together and form a new plasmodium. The cellular slime molds are common in soil. Each spore released by a cellular slime mold becomes a single amoeba-like cell. However, when food is scarce, individual cells can release chemical signals that cause the cells to swarm together. They form a slug-like body that moves as though it were one organism. This form of a cellular slime mold is called a pseudoplasmodium, meaning fake plasmodium, because each cell is independent, meaning the membranes of each cell do not fuse. These slime molds are of interest to biologists who study how cells can communicate with each other. Water molds are fungus-like protists that are made up of branching strands of cells. They are common in freshwater habitats. Like slime molds, many water molds are decomposers. However, some water molds are parasites of plants or fish. For example, if you keep an aquarium, you may have seen a water mold that infects fish. The mold appears first as a cottony coat on the skin of the gills, but later causes deep wounds. Perhaps the best known water mold is the downy mildew, which is shown on the screen here, which causes a disease called potato blight. An outbreak of this disease in Ireland from 1845 to 1849 destroyed almost all of the country's potato crops. As a result, more than 1 million people died of starvation in what has become known as the Great Potato Famine.